And welcome to Air Race 1 World Cup Thailand. We have the aircraft on the line for the silver final race. And a little bit of a problem there for Des Hart, the Scottish pilot, who's had a number of mechanical problems, a starting issue there with Sleeper. But welcome to this great race series, Utapao International Airport in Pattaya in Thailand. Fantastic venue and some spectacular racing. Engine running there already for Scott Holmes and number 9, Outlaw. And we've got 8 really quick aircraft. And joining me, Steve Slater, in the commentary position, it's Michaela Satter.
Yeah, thank you very much, Steve. I'm really excited for this silver final we have here in Thailand. Some new guys to look out for and also some veterans in this race. We have number 58, Trevor Jarvis in Sonic Zoom. He's going to get off the ground real fast, so watch out for that white airplane with the rainbow-colored wings. Also, look out for Miss USA, Chip Maples in number 40, his first year out here. And Suede Rain in number 8, Heatstroke. He's had a couple issues this week, but it seems they've got it all dialed in now, so should be a great race.
Yeah, there have been 1 or 2 mechanical issues. Poor Des Hart, we've seen him with a starting problem there with his aircraft. He's actually had 5 Mayday emergency calls during the course of the week, including 3 landings where the engine failed.
Yeah, actually, there's this ongoing joke now. He's had a sticker placed on the side of his cockpit that says British glider pilot. So he's earned that, and also just he is Scottish. He wants us to point out he is a Scottish pilot.
Well, there's pilots of all nationalities here, as you'd imagine. We do have, of course, there we see the lineup: Suede Rain, Chip Maypole, Scott Holmes and Des Hart, and they're still swinging the prop on the 81 aircraft there of Des Hart. Sleeper, well, it hasn't woken up yet. Row 2, 26 Paul Newman, 27 Kent Jackson, 52 Steve Tumlin, former race mechanic, enjoying his first racing season here. His aircraft isn't the quickest, but it's getting quicker. Trevor Jarvis, 58, British pilot. His aircraft accelerates incredibly fast, and I tell you what, if they don't shortly get this aircraft started, they're going to have to pull him from the starting grid.
There's a rule here that the aircraft have to be started within 2 minutes of the green flag going down. So if he does not have that started here within the next few minutes, unfortunately for Des Hart, it's not going to happen.
Well, they are still checking the magneto. They're swinging the propeller from behind these aircraft to save weight. Don't have electric starter motors, and he's in business.
All right, fantastic. That's really great to see that Sleeper number 81 fire up. You know, we haven't really gotten to see what Sleeper can do, and we're hoping that he can get in this race.
Well, the red flag is up. That's the warning to the pilots that we're about ready to go racing. Now, it's going to be an 8-lap race, but don't forget that when the aircraft come past the start line on the takeoff, that is not the start of the race. We go round 1 lap, they dive into the start line, we'll see a green flag waved. That's when we go racing.
Yeah, it takes all these aircraft about a full lap to get up to speed. So really that first lap is just getting them in place, just like a track race, if you will.
And I was delighted to see there Des Hart getting a round of applause in the grandstand by some of our dignitaries as well, including the Deputy Prime Minister.
Yeah, we've had quite a few VIPs that have been here this whole week, and we're having a great time here in Thailand.
Well, we've been fantastic to have been hosted by Chang and by the Utapao Naval Air Base. We even had the Thai Royal Flight fly in, and we've had a royal presence on the airfield during the course of this week. It really has been a superb event, and of course for many people from around the world, this is the first time outside of Reno to see these Formula 1 air races live. The aircraft all powered by the same Continental O200 engine, some with a degree of tuning, as we get the flag preparing to drop, and we've got the aircraft engine revs starting to rise now. These aircraft all capable of over 200 miles an hour, 300 plus kilometers an hour, as the first wave of aircraft start rolling, second wave of aircraft start rolling. Watch out for that fast accelerating Trevor Jarvis in number 58, Sonic Zoom. He's over on the far left side of the screen in the second rank of aircraft. First one to get airborne, though, is the yellow Swan Round Heatstroke. There is Des Hart in the number 81. Fantastic cacophony of sound as they come past the grandstand. Number 40, Miss America, Chip Maples. He could be one of the pilots to watch.
Absolutely, and this is actually the most dangerous part of the race is when they're all getting just off the ground and they're all stacked up like that. So this is where to watch out for how good flyers they are.
Well, Suede Rain is the man in the race lead. Number 8, Heatstroke, the yellow and red aircraft. followed down the backstretch now. I think Chip Maples in 40. Miss USA is the aircraft in hot pursuit. We'll catch that in a moment. There's the distinctive profile of the Kasut racer. Now, these aircraft have been racing for over 60 years, but have, of course, been steadily developed, and some Kasuts are a lot different to the others. That is what is known as a slab wing Kasut, straight trailing edge and leading edge on the wing. Short wingspan, only 3 meters, just over 15 feet, and it's wingtip to wingtip behind him with Chip Maples and Trevor Jarvis battling for position. There's Des Hart as well, good strong run, but across the line, and we start racing with a green flag, and out in front it's Swain Ran with heat stroke.
Absolutely. So we kind of talked about how we thought this race would go in the beginning, and you know it's shaping up just like we thought. That heat stroke airplane, if he can stay in and not overheat, he is definitely one that they're all going to be chasing.
And a great battle for second place. That's Miss USA Chip Maples in number 40, man from Florida, with the Flying Scotsman behind him. Des Hart, now he's had all sorts of troubles this week, but he's in a real battling third place, maybe looking at moving up to second. But here we've got the race leader coming around the final pylons. And there is, I think that's Trevor Jarvis just being overhauled by number 26, Paul Newman in Fast and Easy.
Yeah, unfortunately for Sonic Zoom, they're extremely quick off the ground, but once in the air, slightly slower. However, Trevor's having a fantastic time here, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, Trevor Jarvis has a collection of racing aircraft back in the UK, but there is Miss USA. But where is Des Hart? That is the big question. Number 81, the grey and white aircraft. There it is, still in hot pursuit. First, second, and third then. Swain Ran on heat stroke, followed by Chip Maples, Miss USA, then Des Hart, and number 81.
I'm really hoping that Des can stay in this race. He's had to pull out in lap 3 or 4 all week, and if he could stay in, that number 81 sleeper really is a sleeper. We're going to be surprised by where he finishes. That's a fast airplane.
Well, it looks like Paul Newman's moved himself up into 4th place, and Scott Holmes, in fact, has now moved into 3rd position. Out of our view on the cameras, that's the Scarlet, the Canadian Kasut racer Outlaw. Well, we haven't seen him. This is Miss USA. They're battling for 3rd and 4th places. Well, let's have another look then. Where is Scott? Because it looks to me like the 81 is there. Maybe that caption was just like that, because there in the background in 4th place is Scott Holmes with the Canadian Outlaw racer. But Miss USA being pursued there by Chip Maples in Miss USA, being actually pursued by Des Hart. Now, unless we've updated the caption. Des Hart up into 3rd place. Distinctive red and white wing on the Miss USA. That's the aircraft running in 2nd place at the moment, running down the back stretch. But out in front, with 6 laps to go, Swain Ran in the red and yellow heat stroke.
Yeah, Miss USA actually has been around for a really long time and has been a solid racer for quite a while. So not a surprise that they're sitting in 2nd place right now with a fantastic pilot behind the controls.
Yes, indeed, there is Miss USA. Well, you can't get more patriotic than that. Ironically, before Chip Maples bought the airplane, it was actually owned by an Englishman. But an Englishman who raced it only at Reno.
With an American wife, I might add.
Well, Chip Maples, a self-confessed airplane addict, has a collection of aeroplanes ranging from a tail first very easy through to a little vintage Aeronca Champ, but this is the man we're talking about at the front now. 5 laps to go for Swain Ran from Springfield in Georgia. Worked on Gulfstream Aerospace executive jets as an air mechanic, now has his own maintenance business at his own personal airfield. Meanwhile, black and yellow, that is Kent Jackson in number 27 once more. Kent, a well-known aviation rider from Washington, D.C., but not able to make an impact at the moment. And it's so good to see. Oh, and did we just see Des Hart pull out of the race? The aircraft seemed to go straight on. Let's just see whether he comes past the final pylon. He was in hot pursuit of number 40, Miss USA, and Des Hart has pulled up out of the race. He's got an emergency. We'll see whether the camera picks him up. It looks like the aircraft is flying okay, but maybe he's got a recurrence of that engine overheating problem. As we said earlier, he's actually landed off 3 glide approaches this week already.
And, you know, Des is just really happy to be here. He actually didn't know he was going to race till a couple weeks before the event. So he's had a lot this past year, and he's happy to be here. Unfortunately, his airplane couldn't make it through, but we're all pulling for him.
Well, Swain Ran on heat stroke is the man to watch. 4 laps to go. He's out on his own at the front of this race. There's one of the other yellow perils. That is the aircraft of Kent Jackson. That's once more the man from Washington, D.C. Those of you who read Flying magazine in the USA will know of his words on the pages there. He's also an aviation attorney. But there's your man out in front, a man from Georgia, Swain Rahn, heat stroke. Now, he's had a few problems. He had to take the fuel tank out of the aircraft and reseal it after a series of fuel leaks. As we then dial in again on the aviation lawyer and writer, Kent Jackson, on number 27, as he runs down the backstretch. 4 laps to go, and you can see it's 8:40. It's no longer hot. There you go. Scott Holmes, the Canadian, has been promoted into 3rd place in his Scarlet number 9 Outlaw as a result of the problems for Des Hart and Sleeper.
Yeah, and this being an 8-lap race, none of these airplanes have run an 8-lap race this entire week. So you're really going to see what aircraft are endurance aircraft at this point and don't overheat, and what ones were the sprinters. They may have to pull out with overheating, just like Des did.
Well, it's good to see. I think we're just looking out of the commentary area window, and I can see that the number 81 aircraft is down on the runway as far as we can ascertain, and is actually in the process of making a safe landing on the runway as we watch. You just maybe saw it flick across the background there. There in 2nd place is still Chip Maypoles, though, with the number 40 Miss USA, man from Florida in the USA. And the race has now settled into a little bit of a steady beat, I think you can say here. And this sometimes happens on the 8-lap races. We'll certainly see in the gold race, though, something a bit more interesting, because a couple of gold races, and being lapped there is Kent Jackson with the black and yellow cassette racer being lapped by the race leader. So it's 2 laps to go for this man, number 8, Swain Rahn, heat stroke. His hard work and his crew's hard work in replacing that fuel tank through the course of yesterday certainly paying off now as he moves the number 27 aircraft 1 lap down.
And with Suede Rain's pass of Kent Jackson, and once more, that'll actually make it per rules that Kent Jackson will only do 7 laps rather than 8. And we have the white flag out now, that meaning there is 1 more lap to go.
Just 1 more 5-kilometer lap of this track. And we're focusing our attention on the race winner. We'll get a countdown of the aircraft as they cross the line in just a moment. There's a little bit of backstretch passing going on. I can see out of our camera shot, unfortunately. There is the very fast-moving Chip Maples in Miss USA. Look at the difference in the wing shape there compared with the race-leading Kasut. A very different shape of wing. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And it was he who was actually passing Kent Jackson. Still there in that strong 2nd place, but race leader Swain Rahn is on his way to the checkered flag. Here he is. We'll see the checkered flag wave in just a moment, and it is Swain Rahn who wins the silver race final here in Utapao in the Air Race 1 Thailand, supported by Chang. Pulls up into a climb of victory. Ken Jackson takes a fine spot. They're showing Ken Jackson 2nd place, but we just saw him get lapped. I think that caption might just be a little bit out. Chip Maples most definitely is in 4th place, 2nd place rather, and in 3rd place we've got Scott Holmes in Outlaw, the Canadian pilot from Alberta.
So you'll see the aircraft pulling up pretty violently after they cross the finish line. That's actually to cool the engines off. These airplanes have been running at max RPM this entire race, and their oil gets to the point that they're all redlining. So they pull up to the cooler air, cool down, pull the throttle back, and this is one of the most dangerous times when they're all up at different altitudes, circling in different ways. So they'll come back down around and land, and that's when we'll all feel safer, when they're all on the ground.
I'll get a chance to watch the race start. There is Des Hart in the 91. Look at Trevor Jarvis in that fast starting number 58 Sonic Zoom. Now the reason that is it's got a finer pitch propeller. I think it's almost a stock propeller, and it accelerates up to about 170 miles an hour real quick, but then these other guys are doing well over 200.
It's a bit like a locomotive for some of the aircraft. They're really slow off the ground, but once they're in the air, they get that momentum going, and they just eat up the rest of the field. So for Sonic Zoom, he gets off the ground quick, then he gets eaten up later. But yeah, what a great race.
And there is Des Hart. I think that's a replay of him. Actually, is that him getting airborne? Yes, it is. There is the man. We've hardly seen him. The guy on 3rd place. And that is Scott Holmes in Outlaw. But it's the short wing, the square wing Kasut of number 8, Swain Rahn, that actually has taken the victory from, dare I say it, the slightly more sophisticated Miss USA with that beautiful tapered wing. Now, how did he manage that?
Well, I do know that that team has put a ton of time into this racer. This airplane was actually found in a barn in pieces. I'm going to say it was ugly. It was an ugly aircraft, and within a year, Suede has turned it into one of the most beautiful airplanes out there, and obviously they've done a lot of work to the engine as well, because that is a very basic airframe.
Well, having made new friends with Swain Ran and his wife and the family who are here in Thailand this weekend, I can tell you this is going to mean a huge amount to him.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great race for him, and he did a fantastic job. Really, really great guy, great family.